Part 61. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 611. At this moment, only a few days had passed since Wu Yu had to hand over the ancient water crystal stone to Xiao Yili. Xiao Yili was certain that if Wu Yu had been as strong as he is now, he would not have handed over this treasure so easily. How could a person undergo such transformation in such a short period of time? Moreover, how did he do it just by relying on the purple mansion Kanghai realm? What happened was unbelievable not just to her, but to everyone. This person possesses several astonishing magical powers, and he has also found other strange ways. His realm is not high, but he has forged an unimaginable body, so he can perform like this. Even if placed in the Yanhuang ancient territory, he is actually a great genius. This is also strange. Even in a legendary deserted land like the sealed demon continent, such a person can be born. There is indeed something magical about this boy. No wonder the emperor pays attention to him and regards him as a member of the Yanhuang ancient kingdom. Although Emperor Yu is young, he has outstanding talents and is stronger than many emperors. He must also have certain ambitions. Now that he is still young, it is time to enrich his wings. Maybe he thinks that Wu Yu can achieve something in the future. Sometimes, other people's discussions are helpful for Wu Yu to understand himself. It seems that sometimes the benefits brought by the great celestial magic, the indestructible body, the three magical powers and the art of transformation cannot be concealed. Even in the entire world of Jambu, although his realm is far weaker than other geniuses, he can still become the focus. Maybe many people didn't take him seriously at first, but now, everyone can't help but think too much. Look at him a few times. Zhang Kaijun's friends were filled with anger, but there was nothing they could do at this time. Wu Yu took advantage of the fact that people were still paying attention to him and said, "You have also seen that Zhang Kaijun made up the matter about the Xuanhuan ancient crystal stone out of thin air. I can swear that if I had the Xuanhuan ancient crystal stone in my hand now, are you satisfied with just letting me give birth to a son? Whoever takes the ancient crystal stone will have a hard time, how about that?" Anyway, he was snatched away by Xiao Yili, so he can say whatever he likes. Being able to say this so casually made everyone look at each other, and most people believed that he really didn't have ancient water crystals. Among them, Xiao Yili and her companions were the only ones who knew the truth. When they heard Wu Yu intentionally say the words "die hard," they frowned deeply and looked at each other with sinister and cold expressions. A group of Beiming people in the empire generally have a cold temperament, and Xiao Yili, the princess of Gazang, is the worst. After Wu Yu finished speaking, no matter whether everyone believed it or not, they all dispersed in the end. These people hugged each other. Except for the Yanhuang ancient kingdom, no one else would come forward and take the initiative to accept Wu Yu, so at this time, everyone was basically silent. Hundreds of people stood a little loosely in their standing positions. Some people still longed for the spiritual weapon and were unwilling to go far. Some people were self-aware and were ready to take advantage of the chaos to escape at any time and no longer be controlled by the strong ones. After all, this grassland is very vast, and now everyone has only stepped out a little bit. Being controlled and restricted here, even one of our own people will actually have opinions in their hearts. This is an extremely domineering approach by top beings. They don't want anyone else to get the treasure. In this regard, the strong men are almost unanimous. During this period, Wu Yu was also observing the changes in the moods of the geniuses in this group. The more time passed, the more anxious people became. At this time, the only person who appeared next to Wu Yu turned out to be the blue-ringed poison demon. This blue-skinned sea demon came to Wu Yu, stared ahead, and suddenly said with a weird look, "Wu Yu, I remember you were, it's not that powerful. It took a piece of paper to force me out, but in just a few days, I have undergone such a transformation. Tell me, have you opened that mysterious door? This matter must not be allowed to be known to others, especially Emperor Yu. Wu Yu calmed down, gave him a cold look, and said, "You are right, I did open the door, and a piece of shit appeared inside. Looks almost like you." The blue-ringed poison demon was very excited when he heard the first half of the sentence, but the second half was obviously wrong, making his face turn red. The sea demon roared, "I guess the changes in the world of the Sea of Clouds are in that door. You, a few days later, we are here. You must have found a way to open that door. If I were you, I would share what I got. Otherwise, if the news spreads, I could kill you. Life. Don't scare me. If I could open that door, I would have opened it a long time ago. Is it your turn to see its existence? I am now completely destitute, so I might as well open the Sumuru bag for everyone to see." His nonchalant, arrogant attitude didn't look like it at all. In fact, Wu Yu knew that the existence of this blue-ringed poison demon was still very dangerous to him. For example, he could not use the blood electric god general in front of him. In fact, he was just guessing and doubting, with no evidence. However, he still felt that there must be something wrong with Wu Yu returning to the time control tower. However, after thinking about it carefully, he found that no one else had noticed the time control tower. He narrowed his eyes, probably thinking that if Wu Yu really gained something, he might seize it by keeping silent. Thinking of this at one point, he stopped questioning and being aggressive, and instead sneered, "Some things don't belong to you at all. Just hold them in your hot hands and wait and see." Let's face it, in order not to attract other people's attention, he retreated from Wu Yu and hid in the crowd. In fact, everyone is very impatient and anxious now, and Le Daizi and the others are actually the same. Wu Yu watched for a while and found that they have tried many methods, whether it is a fierce attack, or from underground, or using a Taoist weapon to hit the platinum sword, there is no gain. Even if the Taoist weapon enters it, it will be instantly shattered. This chapter is not over yet, please click the next page to continue reading. Probably a few days were wasted here, and they were very impatient, but everyone had the same result. The platinum sword was still stuck there, and no one could take it away. Wu Yu also saw these strong men, and at his level, he couldn't even understand the means. Forget it, maybe this is just one of them. Don't stay here, go forward. There may be more ahead, and there may be no such formation at all. Suddenly, in their camp, it seems that a demon said. Someone else said, "If you are willing to give up, give up. No one wants to force you. I will stay. I don't believe I can't break this formation." They fell into a fierce quarrel. In fact, they were competitors. Once the magic circle was cracked, they would definitely fight for this Shangling Daikai. "Okay, then we'll leave first, you guys can study here slowly, it's best not to try to stop us." At the beginning, more than 10 of them decided to restrict others from leaving. At this time, because there was no harvest, there were disagreements. Some of them were willing to leave, and some wanted to continue research. Obviously, those who wanted to continue research could not stop those who wanted to leave. However, they wanted to get the Shangling Daikai in front of them, but they were also worried that they would easily get more Daikai after they left. Those who wanted to stay definitely didn't want others to leave, but the strength of both sides was similar, so they couldn't keep others in a domineering way. For a while, someone took the lead. When they saw someone leaving, the others who had already moved away little by little found this opportunity. Everyone roared, and for a while, most of the people fled in all directions and were no longer controlled. Emperor Le is still here. According to reason, people from the ancient country of Yanhuang should not leave. The problem is that everyone is worried that the good things will be snatched away by others, so many people leave. They can't bear it anymore. For a while, hundreds of people dispersed directly. Perhaps they felt that there was no hope of opening the magic circle of the upper spiritual weapon, So many super strong people who were originally prepared to hold on for a while left again. Now the scene is in chaos. Those who want to escape have directly escaped out of sight and cannot be stopped at all. In the end, there were only a few people left next to the platinum sword. These people didn't hold on for long and finally left. Emperor Li was not here either. As for Wu Yu, in fact, when the chaos started, he directly performed the magic of walking and fled the fastest. He did not follow the direction of the bluestone path. After all, the grassland is so vast that there is no need to restrict himself. For a while, hundreds of people spread towards the entire grassland. They were so small that they were almost like ants in this endless grassland. This place is different from the seabed and the sea of clouds before. These two places seem to have no end, but in fact they have an end. No one can leave too far, but this grassland is different. After dispersing, if you go in different directions, it is estimated that it will be difficult to meet later. When Wu Yu left hundreds of miles away, there were only a few strangers left in his vision. Some people saw Wu Yu and wanted to catch up, but Wu Yu left in a flash. He was too lazy to fight with people he didn't know. The most important thing now was to explore the secrets of this grassland. After getting the fusion tower and completing the mission of Dongsheng Shenzhou, he felt that no matter what he encountered next, as long as he didn't die, it would be a profit. With such a desperate idea to go out, he was certainly braver than others. After moving forward for a while, he suddenly found a Taoist weapon of the mace type on the grass in front of him, and it was probably a Taoist weapon of the upper spirit. There are so many Taoist weapons of the upper spirit here? Wu Yu stood in front of this Taoist weapon of the upper spirit and didn't dare to move. Today is Chinese Valentine's Day, a traditional Chinese festival. It should be more worthwhile to celebrate with the one you love than Valentine's Day. I have been paying close attention to the Olympics recently and I am proud to be a Chinese. Every athlete is a warrior who goes abroad to promote the country's prestige and deserves respect. I was moved to tears when I saw Sun Yang win the championship this morning. Come on, China. One chapter today. It's already Chinese Valentine's Day. If you don't have a boyfriend or girlfriend, hurry up, muster up the courage, and confess your love. Heaven-swallowing record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 612. Chapter 607 Supreme Speed. Wu Yu's fiery eyes have stronger insight, so he should be the first to see the Taoist weapon not far away. From an intuitive point of view, the weapon's mace was made of special material, the magic circle was hidden, and it did not shine much. However, Wu Yu had a very strong intuition that told him that this weapon was not inferior to the previous platinum sword. It is blurry and hidden because it has sunk for too long, like a deep sleep without waking up. However, if it was the same thing, even Emperor Ji and the others could not break through the surrounding magic circle, and he would not dare to rush forward rashly. Otherwise, he would probably lose his life just like Lu Zikan. There must be a magic circle. He casually took out a weapon from the sumuru bag and threw it towards the mace position. When the weapon was about 30 feet away from the Taoist weapon, a pale flame appeared somewhere and wrapped around it. On the weapon, in just an instant, Wu Yu's weapon was incinerated by the pale flames until not even dust was left. Really? Minglong also sighed and said, the spiritual weapon is the spiritual weapon. If you can get it so easily, how can it be so precious? The platinum sword from before and this Taoist weapon are right in front of them. Everyone can see them clearly, but this distance is the gap between heaven and earth and cannot be crossed. I haven't gone very far when I encounter this second thing that may be a spiritual artifact. Maybe there are many similar places on this endless grassland. There are enviable treasures everywhere, but no one can get them. If other people see the second Taoist artifact, their mood will probably change a lot. Jealousy and not being able to get it will make people feel impetuous. What are you going to do? Keep going, or stay here to find a way to get this treasure? Minglong asked. Wu Yu was about to walk forward when he suddenly heard a sound behind him. Someone was chasing him. It was the blue ring poison demon. He must have been staring at me, and then he barely caught up. Obviously, he thinks I have gained something from the mysterious gate, Wu Yu said. You can't keep this kind of person. Once he talks nonsense or makes random guesses, it will be very dangerous for you, Ming Long said. Wu Yu also knew it in his heart. In the blink of an eye, the blue-ringed poison demon was in front of him. When he got closer, his attention immediately shifted from Wu Yu's body to the Taoist weapon behind Wu Yu. He is not a mortal thing. At first glance and before thinking about it, he knows that this Taoist weapon is definitely a treasure, and it is even a spiritual Taoist tool. It's this Taoist weapon again. The spiritual Taoist tool. The blue-ringed poison demon's eyes reflected, and he passed Wu Yu directly, preparing to go towards the weapon. However, he may have immediately remembered the magic circle, so he stopped quickly, looked at Wu Yu warily, and then took out something as well. Smashed it forward, and the thing was burned to ashes a dozen feet in front of him, and disappeared in the blink of an eye. He rushed too fast. In fact, he was not far from the magic circle at this time. This frightened him so much that he broke into cold sweat. If he hadn't stopped quickly, his life would be dead now. At this moment, he turned around in shock, looked at Wu Yu, and said in a deep voice, "You must know that there is a death-inducing magic circle here, and you didn't remind me." "You're not dead," Wu Yu looked at him coldly. This person was following him, probably because he was still unwilling to deal with the mysterious door. "Wu Yu, the last time you used the talisman to plot against me, I haven't figured it out yet." The blue-ringed poison demon looked unkind, and his eyes became more and more fierce in front of Wu Yu. He was originally a poison in the deep sea and was domineering, but now that he came to the Taku Immortal Road, he could only restrain himself. "How do you figure it out?" The blue-ringed poison demon tilted his head and thought for a while, then said, "What is behind that door? If you don't tell me, I will spread the news that you have repeatedly entered the time control tower. You must have gained something. I know you are very powerful now and have defeated Zhang Kaijun, but I can leave Taku Immortal Road at any time. It is useless for you to threaten me. However, I know where Dongsheng Shenzhou is and I have been close to it." Hey. The last sentence was naturally a threat to Wu Yu. He is a sea monster. If the sea area he is in is between the Yanhuang Ancient Territory and Dongsheng Divine Continent, then it is indeed easy to get to Dongsheng Divine Continent. If Wu Yu didn't tell him what he knew with his threat, it would indeed be very troublesome. The blue-ringed poison demon has an average brain, but there are many people in this Taku Immortal Road who want to know what happened between Wu Yu and the time control tower, and some even want to pry out like the. What Wu Yu couldn't bear to hear the most in this Taku Immortal Road was that they threatened him with Dongsheng Shenzhou. Because of the incident involving the heaven-devouring demon ancestor, he had to disclose his clone, but the trouble he caused was indeed a lot. Especially those who are hostile to him will know that Dongsheng Shenzhou will be Wu Yu's weakness. This is intolerable. Originally, he was still hesitating whether to take the risk and push both himself and the blue-ring poison demon to a dead end. But now the blue-ring poison demon's words have left Wu Yu with no room for retreat. At this time, the other party was proud of his threat. From his eyes, Wu Yu could still see his contempt for his hometown, Dongsheng Shenzhou. "Hurry up, don't waste time." The blue-ringed poison demon stretched out its blue tongue, licked its lips, and looked playfully. Wu Yu made a decision at this moment. He takes action directly. The third magical power, law of heaven and earth, is now very familiar to him. This time, Wu Yu did not grow bigger, but shrunk. In just a short moment, he shrunk to the extreme. This chapter is not over yet, please click the next page to continue reading. In the blink of an eye, a 1-foot-tall little man appeared in front of the blue-ring poison demon. This change can be said to be more amazing than Wu Yu's growth. When the blue ring poison demon suddenly saw such a little man appear in front of him, he had no idea what Wu Yu was going to do. In this stunned moment, Wu Yu moved suddenly. At this time, his physical speed has tripled, and he is performing the magic of walking. This speed can definitely be called a miracle. In a very short time, he arrived in front of the blue ring poison demon. Although the Hanhai Tyrannosaurus pillar in his hand is very small, it is at a terrifying speed. When Wu Yu performs the violent technique, although it hits the blue ring poison demon's chest like a chopstick, the strength and power are actually not weak at all. First of all, the purple mansion Yuanli has not changed. The speed was so fast that although the power was reduced, the violent magic was also added back a lot. The key was that it was extremely sudden, so the blue ring poison demon had no way to resist this attack. The most terrifying thing was the speed. After the blue ring poison demon was beaten and flew away, he didn't understand what happened. In front of him, Wu Yu almost disappeared. At this moment, he flew back at a very fast speed. The stick with huge speed hit his body, and also made his body vibrate and his bones and flesh shatter. You know, the same attack, the faster the speed, the more terrifying the attack power will be. The first doubt of the blue ring poison demon was how Wu Yu attacked him. The second doubt was, where did Wu Yu go? The third doubt was why he dared to attack himself, wasn't he afraid of his threat? When his thoughts turned to the fourth one, he was already scared and sweating all over. His thoughts changed very quickly, but in fact it was only a moment, and in this moment, he suddenly realized that Wu Yu's stick was going to pull him into the magic circle of the Mace Daikai. At this moment, his scalp was numb. At this moment, he was trembling all over. At this moment, his face was pale and he was running in fear. However, when he figured it out, it was a little too late, because Wu Yu just didn't want him to have any time to react, let alone any chance to turn the tables. Death came suddenly. He was whipped away by the terrifying speed, and then he remembered that Wu Yu was going to kill him. He found that he still underestimated Wu Yu. He underestimated Wu Yu's strength before, and now he underestimated his courage. Wu Yu seized this opportunity and instantly pulled him into the range of the magic circle with a stick. No. At this time, the blue ring poison demon was panicking to find the ancient fairy talisman, but unfortunately he had missed the opportunity. Wu Yu saw with his own eyes that the desperate, screaming, regretful, and fearful blue ring poison demon was engulfed by the pale flames in the magic circle. In just a moment, it turned into ashes and nothing was left. Moreover, no one else saw it. Blue ring poison demon, die. That's the mistake. You shouldn't have threatened me with Shenzhou. Xiao Ili had done this before, and used it to take away Wu Yu's ancient crystal stone. This was the only reason why Wu Yu had such a strong murderous intent in his heart. He had no choice. If it weren't for this powerful killing array here, Wu Yu really wouldn't dare to attack the blue ring poisonous demon. If this kind of sea demon was forced out of the ancient immortal road by him, it would definitely be vindictive. This array was the only chance, so Wu Yu didn't miss it. After solving the blue ring poisonous demon, he didn't make any noise. No one noticed this place either. It seems that the blue ring poisonous demon died quite unjustly. However, after the change of the law of heaven and earth, his speed increased sharply, which surprised him. It is estimated that in terms of escape speed, Le Daiza may not be able to compare with him. After solving the opponent, Wu Yu was still very calm. He looked around and heard a lot of exclamations at this time. It is estimated that many people, like him, discovered the type of upper spiritual weapon in front of them. How many Dao weapons are there on this grassland? Wu Yu couldn't help but exclaim. After all, the upper spiritual Dao weapons are very rare, and even Emperor Yu is eager for them. If there are really a lot of them, it would be too crazy. He split several clones and dispersed, heading in the direction where the exclamation came from. Not long after, he saw a group of people in a grassland 300 miles away, surrounding a Dao weapon that was placed on the grassland like an ordinary thing. From their conversation, it can be seen that they also think that this is an upper spiritual Dao weapon. However, everyone is eager and depressed. Obviously, they have tried, and no one can break through the magic circle and get this world-famous treasure. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 613. Looking closely, the so-called Shangling Daikai is a silver spear. The spear is like a silver dragon, covered with dragon scales. The tip of the spear is invisible on the ground, but from the spear body, it can be guessed that such an extraordinary spear body, the core part must be quite powerful. About a dozen people gathered together. Although they were not companions and competed with each other, they were more thinking about ways to get the silver spear. It doesn't matter if you can't get it, but if you don't believe it, you will really make a lot of money. Even if you tear up the ancient fairy talisman and leave here as soon as you get it, after you go out, it is estimated that the whole clan will celebrate and regard you as a hero. Too crazy. What on earth is this place? It's so crazy. There are high-level spiritual instruments everywhere. Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow. Really? I also received a message. There are 2 other people who also saw other high-level spiritual instruments. It is almost certain that every one of them is a high-level spiritual instrument. So many high-level spiritual instruments. No wonder they say that the ancient Immortal Road is the most magical place. Anything can happen. Many wonders in the world are related to the ancient Immortal Road. Moreover, the wonders and treasures that appeared when we came in this time should be the most amazing in recent years. So many high-level spiritual instruments appeared. I haven't heard of them before. No, but the key is that you can't get them. They are all such terrifying arrays. You can't get them. In fact, it's no different from the previous times. Not to mention us, several top big shots can't do anything, someone said in frustration. It doesn't matter, there will always be a way. Maybe we can find a way to break this magic circle. It's just daydreaming, I'll look around. Some people are pessimistic and some are optimistic, but it's okay to make a brave attempt. After all, if you are really lucky, you will make a lot of money. Everyone looked at the upper spiritual Taoist artifact in the magic circle eagerly. Wu Yu was also jealous, but he also knew his own limitations. This upper spiritual Taoist artifact seemed to have no way to deal with it. After knowing that many upper spiritual Taoist artifacts appeared, he didn't focus on the Taoist artifacts, but wanted to explore the entire grassland to see what else existed. After making the decision, Wu Yu released almost all of his clones, and thousands of clones began to spread around, with a total number of more than 4 times that of all the others combined. In this way, even if there are magical things, the magical things may be discovered by him first in the end. Not long after the clones were spread out, Wu Yu saw an acquaintance, Xiao Ili. Xiao Ili was still with her companions, but after the daring Luzikin lost his life, there were only 3 left, and she was a total of 4 people. These 4 people, led by Xiao Ili, had just escaped from the control of more than a dozen strong men. There were also many people from their Beiming Empire, but Xiao Ili did not gather with the others. Because she knew very well that if she gathered with others, especially many people with higher status than her, even if she got something good, it would not reach her in the end. Wu Yu's water source ancient crystal stone was still in his hand, so of course he had to split 1 or 2 clones to follow Xiao Ili. Xiao Ili, Zhang Kaijun, and the blue ring poison demon, Wu Yu still put this person first. Because she was the first and hated to challenge Wu Yu's bottom line the most. But Wu Yu really had no chance to deal with her now. He divided a little attention on them, and the other clones gradually dispersed. On this grassland, within a large range around, it was clear at a glance, so many people saw Wu Yu's clones, and saw more than one. This seemed a bit high profile. However, many people knew that Wu Yu had the ability to clone, so they were not surprised. At least 8 places. After the clones dispersed, the field of vision became wider. Wu Yu saw at least 8 places with spiritual tools. Most of them did not approach, but they knew it just by seeing many people surrounding them. Without exception, all of them had terrifying magic arrays. Then, he asked the clones to continue to go out and walk far away. Many people stayed in the same place, so the farther he walked, the more different things he could see. Xiao Ili. Because he was unwilling to give up the ancient crystal stone of the water source, Wu Yu's original body always stayed near Xiao Ili and others. They were a group of people who were brave and kept running far away without stopping. They were almost the farthest away from the place where they just entered this world. Suddenly, Xiao Ili and the others stopped. They should have noticed the existence of one of Wu Yu's clones. Although Wu Yu followed very far away, it would be difficult for the other party not to be discovered in such a vast grassland if they really wanted to find him. However, they probably knew that it was Wu Yu's clone, so they chased after him without saying anything and quickly tore Wu Yu's clone to pieces. Following us, is it to take back the ancient water crystal? Ridiculous, a woman sneered. Xiao Ili said coldly, he didn't even spread the news that we got the ancient water crystal, just thinking that he could take it back one day. You must know this trick. Everyone laughed. The princess underestimated us too much. I have to say that he did scare us when he defeated Zhang Kaijun, but let alone returning to Baiming, even in this ancient immortal road, what can he do to us? Threatening Dongsheng Shenzhou with one move can make him kneel down and wag his head like a dog. At this point, everyone laughed. They all remembered the last time he used this trick, Wu Yu's expression of grief and anger, but he could not do anything to them. What they didn't know was that Wu Yu actually had another clone, not far away, who could hear their conversation at this time. Let's go and look around. In addition to the Dao weapons everywhere, there may be other gains here. There were Dao weapons everywhere, and the scene was crazy. Everyone's expression was relatively calm. In fact, walking on this grassland had already been turbulent. Any of what they saw was a treasure that could cause a stir in the whole world, and its value was far more than 3 large ancient crystal stones. Wu Yu's clone also found several more Dao weapons that were suspected to be Dao weapons of the upper spirit. After testing, they were all protected by magic arrays. As his clones expanded, he encountered more and more. It didn't take long before there was an unusual and major discovery. However, it was not him who discovered it first, but Xiao Ili and his group. They were the fastest people running towards the periphery. They were galloping on the grassland, and wherever they went, there was a cold current. They found that there was a tombstone in front of them. The tombstone was pitch black, 3 feet high and 1 foot thick. This was the part exposed above the ground. After discovering it, Xiao Ili and the other 4 people quickly came to the tombstone, while Wu Yu's clone was far away and could not see the words on the tombstone clearly. Fortunately, Wu Yu's real body was not far away from here, so he immediately used the magic of heaven and earth to change his body into a smaller one, and then used the magic of walking, and his speed was immediately terrifying. This tombstone is unusual. Wu Yu has so many clones, this is what he saw, in this grassland besides grass and spiritual tools, and it is the only one. He quickly approached. The clones lay on the ground, watching carefully, and occasionally heard them talking. What is written on it? Very ancient text, maybe it's the tomb of someone. It's really a tomb. The material of this tombstone is unknown, maybe it's a treasure of some level, or some special material. Dig up this tombstone. Don't panic, don't do anything rash. If there is something buried here, then the precious thing is not this tombstone, but the tomb. We'd better see if there is an underground palace underneath. In the end, Xiao Ili was farsighted, bold, and careful. They went around the tombstone. Hurry up and set up the formation to hide us and this tombstone. She ordered one of them to set up some magic arrays to deceive the eyes. Behind the tombstone was a pile of bulging hillsides. Xiao Ili's intuition told her that there might be incredible and major discoveries under this hillside. Although she looked calm, she was actually very excited. If we can get a treasure and help my Xiao family, then the status of my family in the country will be greatly improved. She drove a Taoist instrument and dug the ground behind the tombstone with others, turning the grass and soil outwards. After a long time, they dug a big pit, which was 10 feet deep. They had not found anything after digging here, and they wanted to give up. However, hard work pays off. In a blink of an eye, Xiao Ili found something unusual deep in the soil. She cleared the soil and was overjoyed, saying, "Everyone, look." Everyone surrounded them. It turned out that a wall had appeared under their feet at this time. The wall was carved with ancient patterns and traces of magic arrays. But it might be too old. Under the erosion of time, the wall was also bumpy. Xiao Ili was very courageous and hit his Taoist instrument against the wall. Suddenly, the wall shattered and a hole was broken. There was indeed space inside. If the guess is correct, it should be a tomb, and it is a large underground palace. Because it took a while for the broken bricks to fall to the ground below. Looking at the hole under their feet, the four were overjoyed. Since ancient times, our Yanhuang ancient domain has the custom of burying treasures. This person has a tomb in the ancient ferry road, he must not be a simple person. There may be a lot of treasures in it. Xiao Ili took a deep breath and said, "That makes sense, but we should be careful. Although this mausoleum looks old, many magic arrays may have failed, but we still have to be careful. Without further ado, let's go in." Okay. The four looked at each other and jumped into the mausoleum. They had already arranged a magic array outside to block the view. This grassland is too vast, and it is still difficult for others to pay attention to this place. But at this time, Wu Yu had already arrived here. He easily cracked the magic array. After seeing the tombstone, the land had been dug up. In the depths of the pit, a hole had been broken, and it was dark inside. "It's bad to disturb others' rest," Ming Long laughed. Wu Yu was actually quite shocked. Who on earth is buried here? Heaven-swallowing record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 614. This mausoleum is really too old. If Xiao Ili hadn't opened a hole in the ceiling, it would have been impossible to see inside. Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow. Even now, it was still dark, so when they fell down, the four of them performed some small magic, and dozens of blazing balls floated around them, illuminating the mausoleum. The hall they are in now is a palace. They don't know whether it is a side hall, a front hall, a main hall, a back hall or some other small hall. Even if there is a light ball shining on it, it is still very dark, and the smell inside is very unpleasant, so Xiao Ili they had to use some more Taoist techniques to isolate the smell. How old is this place? It smells rancid everywhere. It's been so long, what kind of treasure can there be? Xiao Ili frowned slightly. At this time, the four of them had already landed on the ground. Their feet stepped on the dark stone slab, making a clicking sound. The stone slab seemed to be broken at any time, which shocked them. However, apart from the bad smell, the inside was still clean. They once again used a lot of light balls to surround the surroundings. There were hundreds of light balls in total, and finally the place was illuminated. The four of them opened their eyes wide and looked at the empty place, but the walls around the palace are full of patterns. Most of the pattern reliefs are strange giant beasts, as if they are swimming in the sea and sky. On the surrounding walls, there are deep passages leading to other places. This should not be the main hall, nor the core place. It is not the burial place. There are 4 doors leading to other places. This door is the largest. Should we go this way? After entering, he found that the underground palace was almost in decay. Xiao Ili had gained some confidence. The other 3 people, of course, had no objections. They were surrounded by hundreds of light balls. This clear feeling gave them a great sense of security. Just when they were about to start walking, they stopped in shock. What they could see was that the hundreds of light balls surrounding them were getting darker and darker, and they were beyond their control. In a short period of time, the light ball completely disappeared, and the entire hall turned into pitch black uncontrollably. Not even the light from outside illuminates this place. The 4 of them were shocked. What's going on? Out of control. Oh my god, my Zifu Yuan power cannot be used. The Zifu world is as if it is blocked, completely suppressed and cut off. Me too, the entire Zifu Kanghai, no matter how I use it, remains motionless, as if it's not my power. This has never happened before, Princess Gazong, what's going on? Speaking of the latter part, the woman was so frightened that she cried. As soon as they entered the underground palace mausoleum, they suffered a head-on attack. Originally, this place was ancient and decayed, and they thought there would be no danger. Xiao Ili's voice was trembling as she said, I know. This is a magic circle that limits our Zi mansion's energy. And it's very large. I've heard of this kind of magic circle, but there is no such magic circle that can be deployed in the world. There are not many people in the formation. For this kind of formation, one must either find the formation base and destroy it to make the formation ineffective, or possess Zifu Yuan power that exceeds the limit of the formation. Otherwise, it will be suppressed by the formation and unable to use Zifu. Even if you can barely use your Yuan power, you still have to contend with the magic circle all the time, which is very difficult. The further she spoke, the more trembling her voice became. If she were outside, you could see that her face was extremely pale. His face was pale, his whole body was shaking, and he was breaking out in a cold sweat. Can I barely use it? Why can't I use it at all? I have completely lost the control of Zi Mansion. The vast sea of Zi Mansion is like a pool of stagnant water, and I can't use it even a little bit. At this time, in addition to the physical body, I have nothing to do with mortals. What's the difference? The 3 men under him were each more panicked than the last. Xiao Ili hesitated and said, this shows that the ability of this magic circle to restrict Zi Mansion's energy is much greater than I imagined. This is a very terrifying magic circle. If we can't use even a little bit of Zi Mansion's energy, with Fu Yuan Li, even my father wouldn't be able to do anything if he came here. This formation is very old, but it's top-notch. This means that not to mention the use of Taoist magic and magical powers, but that the Taoist tools cannot be manipulated, they can only be used as mortal weapons. They cannot even change their size, and even the basic Zifu that operates the talisman array can't be used. We don't have any Yuan Li. In other words, we don't have any ancient immortal talismans at this time. Everything related to the magic circle requires the energy of Zifu to be driven, so Taoist tools and talismans are useless. Even if they can use a little bit of Zi Mansion's Yuan power, they can induce the ancient immortal talisman to leave here, and there will be no problem. But now, the last road is blocked. Is this the retribution for destroying other people's graves? Will we die? One of the women cried. Xiao Ili thought about it. Under this terrifying level of magic circle, Zifu Yuan Li could not be used at all, and he could not leave the Teiku Immortal Road in times of danger. Even if he had a valuable treasure on this trip, the danger would be too great. In desperation, she made a decision and said, it's not suitable to stay here for a long time, let's leave quickly. Although their physical power is not as terrifying as Wu Yu's, it is not a big problem to kill Zifu Kanghai realm with their physical bodies alone, and it is also easy to jump out of the mausoleum. When Xiao Ili made the decision to withdraw, the other three breathed a sigh of relief. They were worried that under such circumstances, Xiao Ili would still want to go deeper. Let's go. The purple palace energy was banned, and the four looked at the direction of the entrance, ready to jump up and rush out from here. This chapter is not over yet. Please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. After all, in this place, even the communication talisman can't be used. What if you die? But in fact, Wu Yu stood outside and had heard all their words clearly. He was actually more shocked, thinking, is there really such a formation? He once imagined that if there was a place where only the physical body was competed, he would definitely be the king among them, and he deserved it. No one can beat him. Even if a demon entered it, he would be abused by him. Of course, that was just a fantasy. In fact, Wu Yu had not seen any records about this kind of formation for the time being. After all, to fully suppress other people's purple palace energy and make it unable to use it, this formation must be very complicated and of a high level, which is not comparable to ordinary heaven and earth formations. Even in the entire world of Yama, it is estimated that there are not many people who can set up this kind of array, and it is uncertain whether there are any who can set up the level below. I have only heard that this kind of array exists, but I have never really seen it. It will only appear in the ancient Immortal Road. This mausoleum probably doesn't want people to disturb it, so it has set up this kind of array to restrict people from entering. There may be other arrays, but perhaps they have become ineffective due to the long time. But this array may still exist for the time being due to stability reasons, Ming Long said with a stern look. If I go down, it will be dangerous, right? Wu Yu said. It's okay, but I still don't recommend going into this place. You can't even use the ancient immortal talisman. It's like forcing yourself into a dead end, and you might die, Ming Long threatened him. Wu Yu smiled, he stared at the four people below, and said, at least for now, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for me. I really didn't expect that the opportunity to take revenge that I once swore would come so quickly. Below is the person he hates the most in this ancient immortal road. They took away the ancient crystal stone of water source that Wu Yu was going to give to Luo Bin, and threatened Wu Yu with Dongsheng Shenzhou, which made Wu Yu have no way to deal with them. At this time, the four people below were probably thinking about escaping and escaping up. This mausoleum made them feel too insecure. Even if there were treasures inside, this formation that prohibited the purple palace energy completely frightened them. After achieving the state of Yuan-Shen transformation, although the Yuan-Shen can be immortal and even exist in the form of soul, the Yuan-Shen is also fragile. Without the flesh, it is difficult to resist any threats and attacks. If you are not careful, it is easy to be wiped out. They are afraid of death. At this time, they jumped up one by one and came up. Wu Yu certainly would not let them out. Without saying a word, he appeared at the entrance of the cave and blocked their way out. Everyone, since you are in, why don't you stay a little longer? Wu Yu knew that if he missed this opportunity, it would be difficult to get back the ancient crystal stone of water source. So, he couldn't help but take action. Wu Yu suddenly appeared, scaring the four people out of their wits. When they saw clearly that it was Wu Yu, they couldn't help but get furious and said, Wu Yu, get out of here quickly. Don't block our way. I know you have made some breakthroughs recently, but the four of us can still scare you to death. Get out. Xiao Ili was also unhappy. In fact, she thought it was Wu Yu's clone. After all, she had met many of his clones during this period. However, Wu Yu smiled and stared at them, saying, I came here today and saw that you fell into the quagmire. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Wu Yu certainly can't let the four of you leave so easily. At least, you have to leave something behind. Xiao Ili realized at this time that this should be Wu Yu's real body. She had no patience, nodded to the three people around her, and said, "Get out." "Yes, I'll deal with him." Among the four, there was only one man left. At this time, he was working hard. He kicked the ground and rushed into the sky, gathering the power of his flesh and punched Wu Yu. Bang! The punch hit Wu Yu's face, making a sound like steel colliding. The man screamed, covered his fist and fell to the ground. He looked at Wu Yu with an incredible look. That's right, he attacked Wu Yu, and it was he who was bleeding. Almost, all 5 fingers were broken. Seeing this situation, they remembered that it seemed that Wu Yu relied on his strong body to compete with the Yuan Shen Huaxing realm. Xiao Yili frowned slightly, realizing that Wu Yu was indeed a big enemy when she couldn't get out, so she calmed down and asked, "Wu Yu, what do you want?" Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 615. Xiao Yili was probably a little afraid that Wu Yu, the Dragon King Buddha, had lost his body, so he was a little angry. If not, she would have led the other 3 people to fight out to make Wu Yu look good. Wu Yu was very relaxed. This place was indeed too wonderful for him. He stared at Xiao Yili and said, "Princess Gazong and I will form a Taoist couple, and from then on we will travel around the world and work together to cultivate immortality." "You're looking for death. Wu Yu, you are uttering arrogant words. You have no respect for others. You, a humble person, dare to offend Princess Gazong. You have made a big mistake and will not die. Don't you be afraid if you dare to say such nonsense. I will leave Taku Immortal Road now, take people to Dongsheng Shenzhou, and kill all your parents, wife, children, senior brothers, etc." The last sentence was said by the only man. Xiao Yili's eyes were cold, and he even gritted his teeth. It was a pity that Zi Mansion's UN power was banned, otherwise his aura at this time would definitely be even colder and colder. "Anyone who dares to molest me will not end up well. Are you worthy of being my Taoist companion? No descendant of the sealed demon continent is worthy of being my grandson," Xiao Yili said. She was indeed angry. Wu Yu, however, remained calm and composed, saying, "Forget it, I won't joke with Princess Gazong anymore. The princess asked me what I wanted. In fact, the princess should understand that I showed up here today just to take away what belongs to me. Something. As for what it is, the princess should know very well." Of course Xiao Yili knew Wu Yu's purpose. She became more and more angry and couldn't help but sneered, "I think you have eaten the guts of a leopard. You think that you can suppress us just because we are trapped here. Just because of this, you want to take advantage of us to sway you an ancient crystal stone. Princess, this person is simply mentally ill. He is so stupid that he doesn't even know his identity. He dares to steal our things. Yes, you ridiculous person, can't you have some intelligence? Do you really understand who you are facing now? Wu Yu, don't forget, your demon-sealing continent, even our Beiming Empire, you really dare to confront us, even if your family is ruined. Do you really want to think carefully? Don't kneel down and beg for mercy when your family is ruined." Every time he talks about Dongsheng Shenzhou, he is challenging Wu Yu's bottom line. In fact, Wu Yu had given them many opportunities, but in exchange, they were still threatened by challenging the bottom line again and again. Until this time, Wu Yu finally made a decision, and there could be no more changes. The other party didn't take out the water source ancient crystal stone, and he was even more arrogant than himself. He smiled coldly, his eyes were silent, and said, "So, it means that if I don't do it, the water source ancient crystal stone will not reach my hands, right?" The 4 of them laughed coldly, still mocking Wu Yu for being out of his mind. "Get out of the way quickly, otherwise, your situation will be more miserable than anyone else's." Just like this, they would certainly not be willing to take out the ancient water source crystal stones. They have to suffer a little bit before they understand the current situation. However, once they suffer, hatred will take over, and there will be no turning back. Even if he just casually hurts them, after they go out and lose the ancient water crystal stone, they will probably take their anger to Dongsheng Shenzhou. For the sake of his relatives and Dongsheng Shenzhou, Wu Yu actually had no intention of reconciling with them. This conflict must have been cruel, but in fact, he had no choice. Unless, he gives up the ancient water source stone. But, that's not possible anymore. In fact, it was Xiao Yili herself who pushed the relationship between the two parties to such an irreversible level, challenging the limit again and again. Therefore, when they yelled and yelled at Wu Yu to get out of the way, Wu Yu instead fell from the sky and landed on top of their heads. "How dare you come in? Let's rush out." Wu Yu did not block the entrance. They seized this opportunity. Of course, their eyes lit up, and the four of them rushed towards the entrance from four directions. Right at this moment, Wu Yu was like a king, showing terrifying speed and strength. In the realm of the physical body, he is the king at the pinnacle. To him, the four people in front of him are actually no different from the kittens and puppies in his hands. Whoosh! Wu Yu appeared in front of the man. For just a moment, the two suddenly looked at each other. The other was frightened. Before he screamed, Wu Yu used both hands to pull his legs and made 2 clicks. The legs were directly on the knees. Everywhere was broken by Wu Yu. For a moment, blood spattered everywhere and screams continued. Wu Yu casually threw him to the ground. It was impossible for this person to escape anymore. Both his legs were broken. He still had the ability to escape. This is just the beginning. The next one is a woman. After Wu Yu came in, Zifu's Yuan power, which was not strong in the first place, was completely suppressed and could not move at all. This resulted in him not even having the mana to open the Sumuru bag. After all, the Sumuru bag was also a magic weapon. Even other people's Sumuru bags were at the Taoist level, and the space inside was very vast. Therefore, we can only take action. Fortunately, before he came in, he had foresight and took out the vast sea Tyrannosaurus column in advance and adjusted it to a suitable size. At this time, he turned over the vast sea Tyrannosaurus column and used it as a weapon. When he passed by the woman, the stick killed him and directly broke his legs, and another person fell screaming like a kite with its string broken. In front of Wu Yu at this moment, they were really pitifully weak. Wu Yu felt as if he was still at the 5th level of martial arts, facing mortals who were truly powerless. There are 2 left. They also failed to escape. One of them, like the last one, screamed and had his legs broken. He fell to the ground with a scream and covered in dust. This chapter is not over yet. Please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. Finally, Xiao Yili almost rushed out, but Wu Yu suddenly appeared in front of him. "Wu Yu," Xiao Yili roared, his eyes spitting fire, but it was useless. Wu Yu grabbed his neck and threw him to the ground. For a moment, his bones seemed to fall apart. Xiao Yili spit out a large mouthful of blood. His muscles, bones, blood and flesh were not protected by the Purple Palace force, and they broke into pieces. It was just a moment. They did not escape. Wu Yu threw them all to the ground. They were as weak as chickens and ducks. At this moment, no matter how angry they were scared out of their wits. The severe pain in their bodies made them completely stunned. When they saw Wu Yu standing between the 4 of them with the Hanhai Tyrannosaurus pillar in his hand, they were completely disappointed. In fact, the entrance was not far away, but at this time, either the legs were broken or the whole body was falling apart, so the distance from here to the entrance was simply a chasm, and they could only watch. "Wu Yu, you dare to hurt us? You dare to hurt Princess Gazang? You are dead. Not only you die, your whole family must die, you are finished. No matter where you escape, our mansion master will make you unable to reincarnate, the man with broken legs was the most tragic. At this time, his body was covered with blood and his face was also covered with blood. His voice was shrill, and the mortal enemy stared at Wu Yu and shouted wildly. "Shut up," Xiao Ili exclaimed hurriedly. But it was too late. Wu Yu turned around and hit the man's head with a stick. With a clang, the man stared at him with wide eyes. There seemed to be no scars on his head, but it was completely shattered and turned into a ball of paste. Naturally, he also died instantly. Perhaps, he never thought that Wu Yu would have the courage to kill him. How could he realize how many times he had touched Wu Yu's bottom line? At this moment, Wu Yu's face was indifferent. He picked up the sumi bag and held it in his hand. At this time, he turned back to look at Xiao Ili and the other three women. They saw the man die with their own eyes, and the body was placed in front of them. The faces of the three people were filled with shock, anger, fear, and trembling. They couldn't move now, and could only use all their strength to move back. At this time, the fear and trembling of their bodies really showed that they realized Wu Yu's terrifying fighting power in this magic circle, as well as his cold courage. When he killed the man, he was decisive and straightforward, without any hesitation. The other two women were already scared silly, and only Xiao Ili quickly recognized the reality. She quickly took off her sumuru bag and threw it to Wu Yu, saying with difficulty, "Wu Yu, I admit defeat. You are very powerful. This water source ancient crystal stone belongs to you. I was wrong and shouldn't look down on you. I apologize to you. I'm sorry. I lost this time. I promise that if you let me go, I will never care about what happened today, and I will never target Dongsheng Shenzhou. I, Xiao Ili, keep my word. I lost today with a clear conscience." In fact, she also realized the seriousness of the matter now. Unfortunately, it was too late. In this magic circle, they couldn't even send out the communication talisman. If they died, no one would know that they died in Wu Yu's hands, and no one would know their whereabouts. They couldn't spread any news, which meant that they died in vain. Her father would not know Wu Yu at all, because no one knew that Wu Yu had a grudge against her. This is the advantage of the magic circle in the mausoleum. This is Wu Yu's only chance to deal with her. Wu Yu carried the Hanhai Tyrannosaurus pillar and approached the three of them step by step. Facing Xiao Ili's smart choice, he took out her sumuru bag, but laughed dumbly and said, "Princess, you and I are not stupid people. You should understand that when I made a move, there was actually no way out. If I believe all the guarantees you made to me, I guess you would find it incredible. But it was not me who pushed both of us to the brink of death, but you." The moment Wu Yu took action, it was destined that this decision would be a life and death struggle. Whoever is soft-hearted will die. For Wu Yu, it will also implicate his relatives. Because Xiao Ili and the others are people who will never let go of any grudge. Wu Yu's words brought despair to Xiao Ili, and the other two women screamed in fear, saying everything at once. "Wu Yu, don't kill me. I can serve you, and from now on I will respect you, and I can let you do whatever you want. Me too, I am willing to serve you, and be your slave, don't kill me." Before, they didn't think Wu Yu dared to kill people, but Wu Yu had already set an example for them, and they had no choice. Even Xiao Ili trembled and said, I promise to be your Taoist partner, don't kill me." Wu Yu was stunned. "Sorry, I have a lover." He couldn't stop killing. The third update is over. Let me tell you, the madman's WeChat ID is Feng Qingyang. Under each picture and text message, there is a systematic GG. As long as everyone is willing to click in, the madman's official account will receive traffic fees, which can be used to organize activities and sent to other parties in the form of red envelopes. Last month's red envelope activities were very popular, and many readers also received benefits. However, this month, the clicks on GG have obviously decreased, so the madman rarely posts pictures and texts. However, I still hope that when there is a house, everyone can just click it, and I will try to organize another activity this month. For those who follow the WeChat account, I am going to find someone to post some interesting things every day. The main purpose is to earn some red envelope fees by having you click the GG below. If you read it and laugh, remember to click GG. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 616. Wu Yu was just joking at first, but now Xiao Yili took it seriously. 30 years in Hedong, 30 years in Hexi. Things in this world have changed really fast. You never thought that you, who were arrogant and domineering and never took me seriously, would be where you are today. Normal people would never expect that such a magic circle would exist in this mausoleum. Now, even Xiao Yili is pale, trembling all over, crying, and has completely lost all dignity, let alone the other two women. Maybe at this time, they will be willing to do anything they are asked to do. In this dry, cold tomb, they trembled and crawled back. The frightened eyes were filled with the shadow of Wu Yu's indifference at this moment. Wu Yu. I admit defeat. Don't kill me. I can promise you that I will never cause you any trouble after I get out. All our previous grievances will be wiped out. Besides, don't think that if you kill me here, no one will know that it was you. One day, you will show your flaws. When the time comes, you can imagine the result. You, please don't push yourself to a dead end. Xiao Yili is still insisting. I'm at the end of my rope. Without further ado, kindness at this time will only become cruelty to himself, relatives and friends, so Wu Yu knew very well in his mind that he went forward neatly and first killed the two women around Xiao Yili using the same method. And at the same time took away their sumuru bag, and instantly they found the ancient immortal talisman leading to the Yanhuang ancient realm. In this way, he has 4 ancient immortal talismans in his hand, and including Xiao Yili's, there are 5, 4 of which lead to the Beiming Empire. Wu Yu killed 3 people in a row and left Xiao Yili at the end. This was actually revenge. For the person who died at the end, the process was the most difficult and painful. Wu Yu stood in front of Xiao Yili, looking at the panicked beauty in front of him. In the past, she stood in front of Wu Yu indifferently and arrogantly, taking away ancient crystal stones casually, and gave Wu Yu many scornful looks, but now she gave them to Wu Yu again. So many eyes of fear. Wu Yu, Xiao Yili, will not die here. I am Princess Gazong, and you cannot kill me. I will not die. At this point she almost collapsed. It's almost done, Wu Yu won't torment her anymore. In the next life, I will leave a way out for others. You blocked my way out and completely ruined my bottom line. If I don't send you back to the West, I will feel sorry for my family and friends. After saying this, even if Xiao Yili still didn't believe it, in the world he dominated, he still easily hit her on the forehead with a stick. A drop of blood flowed along the brow, through the fair and proud cheek, and dripped on the ground. Xiao Yili stared at Wu Yu with wide eyes, eyes filled with disbelief. Finally, his body fell to the ground and lost his voice. After entering Taku Immortal Road, Wu Yu had not killed anyone for a long time. This time, he sent away 5 people including Blue Ring Poison Demon and Xiao Yili, and his murderous intent reappeared. His principle is still I will not offend others unless they offend me. If someone offends me, I will repay him twice as much. After killing 4 people easily, he began to think about his retreat. In this entire grassland, there are only mausoleums in this place. It is very likely that this place is the key to the world, just like the floating tower in the Sea of Clouds before. If we can crack the key, we will get unprecedented treasures. For example, The floating life tower. There are so many spiritual tools in this grassland that can make anyone crazy. Obviously, if there is a secret hidden in this mausoleum, it is definitely possible. There will be greater gains. I am the first one to come in now, and here, compared with others, I have a clear physical advantage. I should check this tomb. Maybe I will find something. People's greed is always endless, and the same is true for Wu Yu. He still feels that he lacks capital, and there is a major opportunity in front of him. Because he has many clones, he has the opportunity to discover this place first. Now he knows that he is the only one here. Although it is dangerous here, he still can't help but want to go in and take a look. You'd better think carefully. This mausoleum is very evil. It's probably just the outermost area, and there are magic circles that limit the power of Zifu. This is a place where most of the strength and ancient immortal talismans cannot be used. Once danger occurs, block it. If you don't stop, you will really lose your life and all your efforts will be wasted. All your advantages are the advantages that others are not as good as yours under the same circumstances, but this does not mean that this evil mausoleum has no way to deal with you. Mingtaki said with an old-fashioned look. Looking into the depths of this mausoleum, it is simple and empty. Every passage is like the mouth of a giant beast. It is deep and gloomy, making people feel terrified. I had no idea how far back this mausoleum was. Listening carefully, it seemed like there were footsteps everywhere, stepping on Wu Yu's heart. Mingtaki is actually right. In places other than this mausoleum, he can still return to Dongsheng Shenzhou, but if there is danger inside, and it comes from this mausoleum, in this narrow, evil, and weird mausoleum, he will really die. However, Wu Yu was not willing to give up. He was unwilling to lose to these geniuses in the entire Yanfu world. He was not convinced from the beginning. Wu Yu just wanted to surpass them. The floating life tower and so on are all opportunities for him to transcend. If you don't go in this time and someone else gets a valuable treasure after going in, they will obviously regret it in their hearts. So, he was a little hesitant. By the way, I forgot that you have the floating life tower. The floating life tower may be a heavenly spirit Dao instrument. This kind of Dao instrument cannot be suppressed by ordinary magic arrays. Maybe its power is not affected here. If so, you may have some means to save your life, Ming Long suddenly said. This chapter is not over yet, please click on the next page to continue reading. Really? Now the floating life tower is still in the Sumuru bag. Wu Yu does not have the purple mansion Yuanli to open the Sumuru bag. He can only go back to the outside of the mausoleum. First, he checked the Sumuru bags of the 4 people. She is worthy of being the daughter of the mansion master. There are a lot of wealth in it. It is impossible to count it for a while, anyway, it is a lot. Wu Yu was dazzled. The ancient crystal stone of the water source is also among them. There are also 4 ancient immortal talismans, which are also complete and can be used. He put 2 of them away, and kept the other one close to his body like the ancient immortal talisman of Dongsheng Shenzhou, ready to use at any time. If I have to leave now, will I go to the Beiming Empire? But if I kill them, will they be found out? Wu Yu has not yet made a decision on this point. Finally, he took out the floating life tower and tied the Hanhai Tyrannosaurus pillar to his back. This time he mainly tested the floating life tower. The floating life tower is about 1 foot high, and it is actually okay to carry it with you without putting it in the Sumuru bag. He fell into the mausoleum and tried to enter the floating life tower. In fact, Wu Yu's control of the floating life tower is only very basic, and he can only use 2 functions. He is not the owner of the floating life tower, so naturally he has never operated the magic array in it, and he does not need the purple palace energy. Every time he wants to enter and exit the floating life tower, it is actually a thought, sending a request to the floating life tower. In fact, in this magic array, The Taoist instruments can be used as usual, but there is a lack of purple palace energy to make the magic array operate. It just so happens that the floating life tower does not need Wu Yu to provide it himself, and it seems that this magic array really cannot suppress the floating life tower to operate on its own, so when Wu Yu wanted to go in, he really entered the floating life tower. The key is that after entering it, his suppressed purple palace energy was restored. Success, no problem. In this way, if there is an irresistible danger inside, Wu Yu still has a choice, which is to enter the floating life tower. After all, he doesn't believe that anyone can break the floating life tower. Try the second function. The blood and electricity god belongs to the floating life tower. When the floating life tower is normal, Wu Yu summons the blood and electricity god, and there is no problem. The blood and electricity god appears in front of him, and the operation of the internal magic array is not greatly affected. If a battle really breaks out, Wu Yu may not be the opponent of the blood and electricity god. The source of the blood and electricity god's power should come from the floating life tower. This magic array cannot prevent the floating life tower from absorbing the power of heaven and earth and enriching itself. Not only can he hide in the floating life tower, but he also has the blood and lightning god general, so there is basically no problem. Wu Yu decided to enter it and get ahead of others. He wrapped up the floating life tower, put it on his waist, and covered it with a robe, so that outsiders would basically not notice it. It's ready. Strange, where are their bodies? Suddenly Ming Long screamed, and Wu Yu turned around when he heard it. Just now, his attention was on the floating life tower, so he didn't pay much attention. At this time, he looked back and found that the bodies of the 4 people were gone. Wu Yu was busy testing the floating life tower just now. In fact, his original idea was that no matter whether he decided to go in or out, he had to burn the bodies of the 4 people. At this time, he was preparing to do this to destroy the bodies. However, he never expected that there was no movement around, and the surroundings were open. Although the light was dim, Wu Yu could generally see clearly why their bodies disappeared like this. He checked it out and it was indeed completely gone, even the bloodstains disappeared. This made him feel creepy. Could there be a ghost? Ming Long said sadly. The way of ghosts and gods, there are so many wronged souls and evil ghosts. Ghosts are not scary, what is scary is this evil thing. Who took the body away? Wu Yu was definitely not those people outside, none of them could do such a thing in this mausoleum. Of course, they would not do this. To be honest, this matter scared him so much that he couldn't react for a long time, and there was cold sweat on his forehead. Subconsciously, he felt that there were eyes watching him in the dark night. Suddenly, there was a noisy sound outside. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 617. Just for a moment, he was stunned. In the time he wasted, someone outside had already discovered this place. Mainly because as soon as Wu Yu came in here, his magical power was completely cut off, causing him to completely lose contact with his clones. If nothing unexpected happened, those clones turned into golden retrievers and scattered all over the grassland. That's why Wu Yu didn't notice someone approaching here. In fact, no matter who comes in, Wu Yu is not afraid of them as long as they are in this magic circle. The reason why he was a little nervous was that he was worried that they would see his killing of Xiao Yili. However, now that Xiao Yili and the others' bodies are gone, it should be unlikely. Wu Yu felt relieved. Those people would definitely come down immediately after discovering this place. Wu Yu quickly hid deep in a passage. He wanted to see who discovered this place. After a while, several people landed excitedly. They were talking intensely. Wu Yu took a closer look and found that these people he had a slight influence on were from the Yanhuang ancient kingdom. I didn't expect that there was such a mausoleum. Hurry up and send me the talisman. Tell Emperor Yu that if this is an important place and there are precious treasures, We will definitely make a great contribution. Another person said, send it now. We were the first to discover this place. Do you want to check it out yourself? No, this place is very gloomy. Don't be greedy. Tell him quickly. This is your credit. There were several other people near us just now. I think they will also find this place soon. We must act quickly. Several people reached a consensus that the original talisman was about to be issued. At this moment, they discovered that Xuanhuan could not be used, which frightened them. No, this place is too evil. It turns out to be a magic circle that limits the power of the legend. The Xuanhuan power cannot be used at all, and even the original and tail talismans cannot be sent out. It's too evil, let's get out first. They were quite self-aware. After discovering that the Purple Mansion's UN power was banned, they became frightened and hurriedly escaped. After they got out, their Purple Mansion's UN power was restored, and they probably quickly issued the Benway talisman to notify the Emperor. However, it was still very noisy outside. It was probably after they went up that other people discovered them. Others also saw the entrance behind the tombstone and wanted to come in for a while, but they wanted to stop it, so they started arguing outside. Don't blame us for not reminding you. After entering, the Xuanhuan power will be banned immediately, and only the power of the physical body can be used. The most important thing is that even the ancient immortal talismans cannot be used. Don't fool us, let us go in and try it and we will know. This is the place that our Yanhuang ancient kingdom discovered. How dare you go against our Yanhuang ancient kingdom? Believe it or not, after we get out, we, the Yanhuang ancient kingdom, will crush you. Let them go in and try it, and they will know what horror is. The two sides were in a stalemate. In the end, the people from the Yanhuang ancient kingdom let them in. Another group of people came in. Wu Yu was not impressed. They also immediately realized that the Yuanli of the Zifu could not be used, not even the ancient immortal talisman. They were startled and fled quickly. They seemed to be gone. I'm leaving, but I will definitely tell other people, and people from the Yanhuang ancient kingdom will also attract other people's attention if they come here. This place is exposed, and it is estimated that many people will flock here in a short time. Wu Yu said. Now that he was still clean, he turned around and headed deeper into the passage. Although Zifu's UN power could not be used, his body could burst into flames and his vision was clear. His current passage is about 10 feet wide from left to right and 20 feet high. It is not very spacious. Many monsters cannot transform into their true form here. The surrounding walls are also filled with various reliefs, including giant beasts and people. The people inside were still wrapped in animal clothing and animal skins. I don't know how long ago it was. Going deeper into the passage, it was pitch black. Wu Yu moved lightly, so there was almost no sound. He couldn't help but recall the disappearance of Xiao Yili's corpses, and he still felt a little scared. Not long after walking, a three-way road appeared in front of us, leading to the left, front, and right. He chose to continue moving forward. What was frustrating was that not long after walking, there was another fork in the road, and it still led to 4 directions. When he chose the front left path and continued walking forward, he discovered that the underground palace was actually a huge network, even a maze. He walked around, but after half a day, he returned to the starting point. Apparently he was lost. Those passages didn't seem complicated. Wu Yu knew it was a maze, so he walked carefully, but he didn't expect to end up back at the starting point. This shows that this maze is not as simple as you think. There may even be magic circles changing in it, and the changes are endless, so he is completely disoriented and trapped in it. Minglong said. Wu Yu thinks the same is true. In other words, the disappearance of their corpses may be the result of the changes in the maze. Why is this mausoleum a maze? Does it not want people to enter? That's how it should be. At this time, there was a lot of noise near the starting point, and there were many people above. Wu Yu also saw that someone had boldly come in. Maybe it was because he had searched all over the outside, but could not find a way to crack the spiritual weapon array. When hereafter the news about a mausoleum spread, it was spread to 10, and it was estimated that everyone gathered here. Many people have actually entered the maze. There were still people rushing in one after another. Wu Yu turned around and continued to enter the maze. He was not worried about other people coming in. On the contrary, the more people there were, the more people would share the danger of the mausoleum with him. Maze. Maze. This time he went in, remembering his route clearly in his mind and drawing a map in his mind. But soon, there was a contradiction. As he walked, he returned to the point he had marked. Although this was not the starting point, it was near the starting point. It can only be said that Wu Yu did not go far, although the maze seemed quite simple. Something is wrong. This tomb should have been moving all the time, but we can't feel it moving at this time. Wu Yu heard footsteps in front of him and someone was discussing. Yes, that's strange. However, the stranger the place, the greater the reward. Everyone, please be alert. Although we agreed outside that we would not fight after entering, and would not kill people even if we fought, if a treasure really appeared, no matter who it was, they would fight desperately. No one should die in the ancient immortal road. We are so bold to come in this time, so we should be careful. No matter what, life is the most important. Yes, especially the demons, who rely on their strong bodies, how can they give up this advantage? I think this tomb is too dangerous, and the gain is not worth the loss. How about we go out first? What are you going out for? Almost everyone has come in. If we go out, what if we miss the treasure? I didn't expect so many people to come in. Wu Yu flashed into another passage and passed by them. The people in this team didn't see him. Surprisingly, almost everyone has come in. It seems that in front of the treasure, everyone is the same. No matter where they have to fight, they will not be afraid. In this underground palace, Wu Yu still has a feeling of looking down on all the mountains. Whether it is human race or demons, even LE in fact, in this underground palace, if there is no other means, they should not be his opponent. But the following time made him and others very depressed. Continuously ventured, constantly returned to the starting point. It seems that everyone is lost, without any breakthrough. Wu Yu once met LE. There are only 4 people in his team, including him, but all of them are top masters of the ancient country of Xuanhuan, far above Zhang Kaijun. They also have sad faces. The only woman complained, "What kind of hell is this place? The purple palace energy is restricted, and it is impossible to walk in. I have been around dozens of times, and I still have to go around." Everyone is going around, don't be angry, the emperor will definitely have a way. As they said, they passed by here. Wu Yu hid in the distance and did not meet them. He has a lot of advantages here, and it is basically difficult for others to detect his presence. Without finding anything and not really entering the core of the mausoleum, everyone can be anxious, especially as time goes by. Wu Yu is also very depressed. However, he did not give up and continued to go deeper. He summed up a lot of experience and knew that if he wanted to make a breakthrough, it would probably all depend on luck. But no one has good luck. Just when he was quite depressed and even ready to go out, he suddenly heard the sound of fighting in front of him. It was purely a physical battle here, but if nothing was found, what were these people fighting for? Did they find something? Wu Yu was not afraid of anything now. He immediately chased after him and followed the sound. When he turned a corner, he happened to see a graceful shadow passing by in front of him and entering the passage on the right. This person was so fast that it was terrifying. Wu Yu didn't see it clearly, but from the body shape, hair, skin color, and facial contours, he suddenly felt that this person was so similar to Xiao Ili. He immediately stopped and looked at the direction where the person disappeared. The more he recalled the glimpse just now, the more he felt that she looked like Xiao Ili. There was even blood on her body. There was a lot of blood. However, he knew clearly that Xiao Ili was dead, and Xiao Ili could not have such a speed in this tomb. He immediately looked to the other side, but he didn't expect that he saw two corpses. These were two cultivators who were not in the Yuanshen waxing realm. Wu Yu had seen them, but he was not familiar with them. Dead people. He stepped forward and saw that the two people's eyes were wide open, their throats were full of blood, and when he looked down, there was even more blood on their chests, as if their hearts had been dug out. But the key is that their sumi bags are still there. Judging from the stunned faces of the two people, they should not have thought that the man would kill them. They died very quickly and had no power to fight back. Moreover, their ancient immortal talismans were still there. How could it be Xiao Ili? He quickly went over there. If he missed it for a while, he would see if he could catch up with the other party. After rushing out for a while, he suddenly noticed the other person behind him and turned back suddenly. The two bodies disappeared. I found a friend on WeChat account, and he sends you some interesting pictures and texts every day as a benefit. Everyone remember to click GG below after reading it to earn some red envelope funds. These pictures and texts are for our red envelope funds. Click a few more times. If there is an important notice, the madman will also announce it on the official account, so most of the madman on the official account is reading and working on it. Thank you everyone. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 618. How is it possible? He hadn't walked far when he looked back. Nothing had changed in the passage behind him, except that the body was gone. Even the bloodstains on the ground just now were gone. Wu Yu returned to the place where the body was just now, and looked around. There was really no trace at all. He couldn't help but feel creepy. This feeling was just like when he was still a mortal, when he was young, and heard others tell stories about ghosts. Mysterious, strange, gloomy, and horrifying. This is really weird. I have lived for so long, and I have never seen such a thing. Ming Long was also surprised. Could it be that there is a magic circle in this mausoleum that can specifically take away human bodies? It's possible. But how could that be Xiao Ili just now? Wu Yu was very sure that he had killed Xiao Ili completely, and Xiao Ili could not come back alive. He must have confirmed it again and again. After all, he couldn't let Xiao Ili live to avenge himself. It's weird, very weird. Why don't you leave here to avoid trouble? There are too many things that cannot be controlled here. Ming Long was a little nervous. Where is the body? Where is the way out of the maze? Was that Xiao Ili just now? If so, what happened? Why did she kill these two people? You know, if there is no dispute, they will not choose to kill people. Ming Long suggested leaving, but Wu Yu would never agree. He heard a voice coming this way, so he left in a hurry. In his mind, he was still thinking about the previous things. Before, he had been using his brain to record the route, but now he found that it was useless, so he might as well walk blindly. He met other people on the road, and everyone was walking cautiously. The people of the ancient country of Yanhuang did not like Wu Yu, so when they saw Wu Yu, their eyes were relatively cold. Xiao Ili. Wu Yu was still recalling the previous glimpse. Accidentally, after he entered a passage, someone from the opposite side also entered the passage and met him directly. After this encounter, he could not leave. Because the four people on the opposite side were led by the most honorable and authoritative Le Daizi in the ancient Yanhuang country. There were three people around him, two men and one woman, all of whom were top-level figures in the ancient Yanhuang country. They were the strongest people in the team, and only these 3 people were qualified to follow Le Diza. Wu Yu had seen them in the dark before. This was the first time they saw Wu Yu. After they met, Le Diza waved at Wu Yu and said, "Wu Yu, come here." In this place, Wu Yu had no need to be afraid of him, but Le Diza had great authority. After leaving this tomb, he was far beyond Wu Yu's reach in terms of strength and status. Facing this kind of proud son of the ancient Yanhuang country, Wu Yu had to give him face. In fact, if you can make friends with such a person, it is of course a good thing. Wu Yu is afraid that the other party has bad intentions towards him. Wu Yu went over and said respectfully, "Meet Emperor Le." He was born in the mortal fairyland, so he certainly knew the power of this person in the ancient country of Yanhuang. He was just like himself in Dongguo. The power struggle in the country was fierce and thrilling, even above the cultivation of Taoism. Emperor Le smiled, and it didn't seem like he was targeting him. When Wu Yu came in front of him, Emperor Le looked him up and down and said, "You are brave enough to come into this strange tomb alone." "Everyone has come in, so I'll come in and try my luck," Wu Yu said modestly. Very good. Emperor Le didn't seem to want to let him go when he said this. He actually introduced the 3 people behind him to Wu Yu, starting with the slightly older man standing on his left. This man was wearing a light golden tights, had short hair half an inch long, was very strong, had a cold and indifferent look in his eyes, and was very intimidating. He seems to be a man of few words and a serious expression, but his aura is quite majestic, with a cold and stern military style. In terms of bearing and power, he is slightly inferior to Le Diza, and is the most powerful person in their group of 4, except for Le Diza. This is the son of the commander of the Yanlong army of my ancient Yanhuang country. His father guarded the capital and had made great contributions. He is an important general of my ancient Yanhuang country and a loyal and righteous man. Of course, he is not inferior to his father. He was gifted at a young age and fought with his father and established countless military exploits. He is a role model for young people in my ancient Yanhuang country and a popular figure in the capital. His name is Xuanhuan. You can call him Lord Chu. Whether it is his origin, status, background strength, or his own strength, talent, and mental willpower, they are all top-notch. This Xuanhuan is indeed a top-notch figure under Le Diza. Meet Lord Qu. Wu Yu bowed slightly, which is a necessary rule. Only those who have great power in the government and the country are qualified to ignore etiquette. Lord Chu is at the 5th level of the Yuan Shen Huaxing realm, which is about the same as me. Isn't it amazing, Emperor Yu said with a smile. When Xuanhuan heard this, he said in a heavy voice, "Your Majesty, you are too kind. I am far inferior to you. This person is very formal, speaks seriously, has the style of a soldier, is like a dull gourd, and is a bit boring." Wu Yu didn't understand why he introduced other people to him. As soon as the introduction was completed, the emperor immediately turned his face to the 2 people on the other side and said to one of the women, "This is Xuanhuan's biological sister. As you can see, she is like a flower and a jade, and she is also a prodigy in our country. Not inferior to his elder brother, he is already at the 4th level of Yuan Shen transformation realm, he must be even better than Hao Yan back then, haha." This chapter is not finished yet, please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. Emperor Yu smiled, paused, and continued, "Chu Fenjiao, what should you call me? You can also call me Master Qu." The woman named Chu Fenjiao had a somewhat arrogant expression. She glanced at Wu Yu and said, "It's ugly. There's no need to call me. I'm too lazy to pay attention to him." Chu Fenjiao's temperament is completely different from that of her brother. She is very coquettish, and there is a sense of nobility in every gesture. She is different from Zhang Kaijun's indifference. She smiles coquettishly and is very enthusiastic, but her attention is not on Wu Yu and on another man. Yu Jiao is cute, flirtatious, and passionate. She is similar to her brother in appearance but completely opposite in personality. However, the daughter of the leader of the Flame Dragon army was indeed very attractive. No matter where she went, she was the center of attention. This is Bailey Xuanhuan, the young master of the Ghost Palace of our Yanhuang ancient kingdom. He is also a young talent. He is at the 4th level of the soul transformation realm at a young age. He is very good in the entire Yanhuang ancient kingdom. The Bailey Xuanhuan was wearing a blue robe, with a handsome appearance and a majestic appearance. There was a hint of evil in his brows, and he had a sense of rebelliousness, which made the girl very happy. He and Chu Fenjiao ignored the presence of others, they are very close, and they are used to it. It is estimated that these two people are not Taoists, but lovers. All introduced. Presumably, it's time for Emperor Yu to reveal his purpose. In fact, his introduction also made the other three people a little confused. After all, there was a huge difference in their identities. Why did Emperor Yu personally introduce the three of them to Wu Yu? What is the difference between this and the prince traveling and introducing the high-ranking officials and generals around him to the farmers in the countryside? Emperor Yu quickly stared at Wu Yu and said, "Wu Yu, it is said that your physical strength is quite good. Now in this tomb, everyone's Zifu Yuan power is imprisoned, and I am no exception. The power of the physical body, it has become the only fighting capital. I will give you a chance to join our team and solve the mystery of this ancient tomb. If you gain something, your reward will be indispensable." He is the son of the emperor of the vast ancient Yanhuang kingdom. The power is overwhelming and the strength is amazing. For him, all the people of the Yanhuang ancient kingdom, no matter how powerful they are, must obey his orders. Wu Yu came from the edge of the Yanhuang ancient kingdom and could barely be considered a member of the Yanhuang ancient kingdom. At this time, Emperor Yu actually gave him the opportunity to travel is actually a gift to anyone. Because even the other young masters of the palace wanted to follow Emperor Yu, but they didn't have this opportunity. Therefore, Emperor Yu did not use the tone of discussion, but a gentle order. He did not think that Wu Yu would refuse, let alone want to refuse. On the other hand, the three people around him were a little shocked when they heard Emperor Yu's decision, especially Chu Fenjiao, who was a little dumbfounded and said, "Emperor, you have such a noble status, how can you let him follow? This means that Wu Yu is completely unqualified." "Fen Yu, shut up. Do you dare to question the emperor's decision?" Chu Huan next to him had the experience and quickly drank his sister. Otherwise, if Chu Fenjiao said a few more words, Emperor Yu would be annoyed. After all, his authority and any decision cannot be doubted. Chu Fenjiao also realized that she had just messed up, and quickly shut her mouth, but looking at Wu Yu's eyes, she was still a little unhappy. After all, she was able to stay with the emperor with great difficulty, and the emperor was also with her. She has this opportunity because of her good relationship with her brother. By the way, she was also asked to bring Bailey Che-hun. Wu Yu had a headache. It turned out that the emperor was interested in his physical strength and regarded himself as a weapon here. In fact, it would be a good thing to be on good terms with Emperor Yu because of this, but I am afraid that such a high-ranking and powerful person would not be easy to serve. Moreover, if there is a major harvest, it is basically out of his hands, and he is also afraid that his secret will be exposed. After all, the floating life tower is still hanging on his body. However, if he blatantly disobeys the emperor's words here, then he will never want to hang out in the Yanhuang ancient territory in the future. After all, he had no choice but to nod his head and said, "Wu Yu will do his best to help the emperor." "Okay, let's go. Follow Emperor Zi," said with satisfaction. He passed Wu Yu and was about to leave. At this time, Bailey Xuanhuan passed by Wu Yu. He seemed to bump into him with his shoulder on purpose, so that Wu Yu would retreat and dodge, or he wanted to see what Wu Yu was capable of. The body can endure it. Wu Yu didn't hide. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 619. Because they didn't hide, their shoulders collided firmly. Bang. Bailey Xuanhuan felt as if he had hit a wall of steel. The powerful force knocked him back 3 steps before he managed to stand still. He even groaned when his chest was blocked. This incident immediately caused Emperor Yu and others to stop in their tracks. Emperor Yu and Xuanhuan turned around, and Chu Fengjia was standing next to her. When she saw Wu Yu knocking Bailey Chehan away, her expression changed a lot. He cursed angrily, "You slave, how dare you disrespect the master of Bailey Young Mansion." Writing this, I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network rightward arrow. She didn't know that Bailey Chehan did it on purpose. She thought Wu Yu bumped into him on purpose. In fact, Wu Yu just didn't dodge. With that said, she was about to reach out and slap Wu Yu. Wu Yu naturally caught her palm easily. At this time, her palm was still more than a foot away from Wu Yu. Her wrist was held by Wu Yu and held firmly, unable to move at all. The terrifying strength of Wu Yu's body made Chu Fengjia stunned. Her face turned pale, and she struggled to break away, saying angrily, "Let me go. If you dare to touch me, you will die." After she finished speaking, Wu Yu looked coldly and let go slightly. Chu Fengjia also staggered a few steps. If Bailey Xuanhuan hadn't stopped him from behind, she would have sat down on the ground. To be honest, he knows that these people have high positions and authority, but everyone has self-esteem, and his tolerance and bowing are limited. Therefore, when the other party is blatantly provoking, as long as he ignores the shortcomings, he will definitely be brave enough. "What are you making a fuss about?" Emperor Yu was slightly unhappy. Bailey Xuanhuan and Chu Fengjia were still in awe of him. At this time, the two of them bowed their heads quickly. Among them, Bailey Xuanhuan was shocked. He knew that his little moves could not be hidden from the eyes of the emperor, so he probably got there before Chu Fengjia could. And said quickly, "Your Majesty, forgive me." Xuanhuan heard that this person has a strong physical body, and he has combat power comparable to the form of the soul. He was curious, so he wanted to test his true ability. Unexpectedly, he found that this person has a physical body strong, indeed extraordinary. He actually didn't expect that he would be knocked away. Of course, in fact, he just hit it casually without using much force, otherwise he didn't think he would be at a disadvantage. Emperor Yu said, "Oh, since you have such a wish, then I will let Wu Yu show off his strength, so that the 3 of you will not be convinced. Wu Yu, let this proud young master of the palace see how powerful you are." Emperor Yu now looks like he is taking great care of Wu Yu. Even when Wu Yu defeated Zhang Kaijun before, he was the one who came to Wu Yu's rescue. Bailey Xuanhuan secretly thought that it was not good. He did not expect Emperor Yu to be on Wu Yu's side at this time. Although he was angry in his heart, when he thought about it carefully, Wu Yu's only value was that he had a good body, and he had his own value. If Wu Yu is not as good as him in the physical aspect, there is no need to carry this burden that is demeaning, so he nodded and said, "Chehan is willing to be the emperor's son and test Wu Yu's level." Wu Yu seemed to have no choice, but of course he wouldn't be polite if someone came to his door looking for a beating. This person will always look down on himself to save himself from the rest of the journey. He doesn't want to join this team, but the emperor appreciates him, so what can he do? "Humph." Chu Fengjia helped Bailey Xuanhuan tidy up his clothes and said words of encouragement in his ear. The two of them were so talented and beautiful that people couldn't envy them. As for Emperor Kairu and Xuanhuan, they stood aside. Emperor Kairu was smiling, while Xuanhuan had his arms folded, his expression indifferent, and his eyes flashing with blazing fire. "Bite! Bailey Xuanhuan took out his Taoist weapon from the waist behind him. He also took out the Taoist weapon before coming in. Of course, like Wu Yu, his Taoist weapon could only be used as a mortal weapon for the time being. It was a dark purple spear. The body of the spear was like a galaxy of stars, dotted with stars, and the tip of the spear was shining with the light of the Milky Way stars. It was extremely bright and quite sharp. In the hands of Bailey Xuanhuan, this spear is also unpredictable. I have cultivated the thousands of stars and thousands of life body. I have used the energy of stars to forge my physical body since I was a child. It has been 38 years now. Ordinary demons and monsters with strong physical bodies are no match for me. Bailey Xuanhuan was serious, probably to intimidate Wu Yu, but Wu Yu ignored him. Now holding the vast sea Tyrannosaurus pillar in his hand, he raised his head slightly and asked, "Can we start?" The dignified young master of the palace, no matter how sophisticated he is, will feel angry when he encounters Wu Yu's attitude. Without saying a word, Bailey Xuanhuan comes with a spear in his hand and just relies on his physical body and divine power to kill violently. Wu Yu's eyes narrowed. He knew that this was actually what the emperor wanted to see, how much strength he had in this confinement formation. He was not polite either. "Do it." The physical body made a buzzing sound, and the whole body seemed to be vibrating. Every inch of the body was like a divine dragon, and the sound of dragon roars erupted at this moment. Bailey Xuanhuan's spear was like a dragon, stabbing him in the head. Wu Yu was as fast and fierce as a tiger. He seemed to have returned to the martial arts era. He suddenly rushed forward and swept away the spear of Bailey Soul, chasing with overwhelming force. "Let go." The spear flew out with a clang and was inserted into the wall. At this time, Bailey Xuanhuan's arm was numb and his mouth was bleeding. Buzz! With a loud bang that tore the air apart, Wu Yu's sea dragon pillar stopped an inch above Bailey Xuanhuan's head at the last moment. At this moment, if Wu Yu did not stop, it was obvious that Bailey Xuanhuan would be hit in the head with a stick. This is the ending. This is Wu Yu's domineering in this imprisonment array. Here, he is invincible. If he gets angry, he can even kill everyone in this tomb. This is his world. Here, he is the super king who can defeat thousands of enemies. Bailey Xuanhuan, of course, felt the crisis of death at this moment. Here, whether it is the 3rd level or the 6th level of the Yuan Shen waxing realm, in Wu Yu's eyes, there is no difference. Maybe outside, Bailey Xuanhuan has many ways to crush Wu Yu, but here, he is a weak chicken in front of Wu Yu. At this moment, his face was pale, and the arm holding the gun was still shaking. At that moment, he smelled the smell of death. Wu Yu in front of him had a calm face, but the domineering murderous intent in his eyes still made Bailey Xuanhuan retreat quickly and escape from Wu Yu's stick. Pa-pa applause rang out in the dark passage. Wu Yu didn't need to look back to know that Le Diza was very satisfied with his lethality. In front of him, Bailey Xuanhuan and Chu Fenjiao, the proud sons of heaven, were confused in front of Wu Yu. "I'm afraid they haven't reacted from the embarrassment just now." "Very good, a vivid lesson for the provocateur, and it's free," Le Diza said with a smile while clapping. Awesome Xuanhuan was a little agitated. He asked Le Diza, "Emperor, it's rare to have such a physical body. It happens that I have some confidence in my physical body. I'm itching to let me try it too." It must be Wu Yu's performance that surprised him. So he wanted to fight. Of course, he was not targeting Wu Yu. He was not as childish as his sister and Bailey Xuanhuan. It was Wu Yu's performance that made him want to challenge him. "You're welcome. Go ahead," Le Diza said. He said to Wu Yu again, "Another person is going to abuse you. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. After all, if you go out, he can crush you with just one finger." This Xuanhuan has cultivated the great Brahma 9 flame battle body, which is the first in the flame dragon army. His body is like a dragon, and he can split mountains and seas with one hand. I wonder how he compares to you. Another opponent, and even more fierce. However, in this tomb, Wu Yu has his own domineering power. His response to Xuanhuan is to use the Han-Hai Tyrannosaurus pillar to point at his opponent. No weapons, punch. Xuanhuan roared, like a golden tiger, with a strong body, suddenly appeared in front of Wu Yu. He had a Taoist weapon on him, but he was not going to use it. At this time, Xuanhuan's muscles bulged, his body expression, and the flames surged. He was like a demon god walking out of the flames, with 9 layers of flames on his body, and an overwhelming and powerful aura came to suppress him. Brother, slap him, Chu Fengjiu gritted her teeth. She was really angry that her beloved was defeated by Wu Yu. After all, in this team, outside this tomb, Wu Yu was really nothing. She even felt that he was not qualified to speak. While she was talking, Wu Yu nailed the Han-Hai Tyrannosaurus pillar to the ground without saying a word, like a real dragon, suddenly rising up, and in an instant, he and Xuanhuan collided fiercely in this dark passage. Bang bang bang. Both of them were very strong and fast, and they quickly exchanged several punches in the air, which was simply dazzling. It was like 2 giant beasts fighting, a fight between a dragon and a tiger. Brother! Bang! With Chu Fengjiu's exclamation, Xuanhuan's burly body fell to the ground with a bang, and when Wu Yu fell, his fist had already hit his face, and finally stopped in front of his nose. Wu Yu was unscathed, his whole body was like cast gold, and his opponent had many bruises on his body at this time, all of which were caused by Wu Yu. At this time, Xuanhuan was panting, and when Wu Yu finally stopped, he waved his hand and said, "I lost, I am convinced." Wu Yu reached out and pulled him up. This Xuanhuan was a good person, straightforward, very much in line with Wu Yu's temper. Losing is losing, tough is tough. After losing, there was some appreciation and respect for Wu Yu in his eyes, instead of Bailey Xuanhuan and Chu Fengjiu, only anger and unwillingness. Go away. Chu Fengjiu came up, supported Xuanhuan, and reached out to pull Wu Yu aside. Wu Yu was too lazy to pay attention to her. He picked up the Han-Hai Tyrannosaurus pillar and continued to tie it to his body. Then he faced Le Daiza. At this time, Le Daiza looked at him with a smile and continued to applaud. It can be seen that he was very satisfied. Chu Fengjiu and the others had nothing to say at this time. After all, they already knew the real reason why Le Daiza asked Wu Yu to join this team. Let's go. Le Daiza didn't say much, nor did he personally challenge Wu Yu. Maybe he knew that even he would inevitably suffer. Wu Yu, don't think that winning will do anything. Put yourself in the right position and don't think too much. After you go out, you are just a puppy in our eyes. Do you understand? Chu Fengjiu whispered beside him. Puppies are cute. Wu Yu grinned. Remember to click GG on WeChat. It's almost time to send a 1000 yuan red envelope. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 620. Chapter 615. Immortal Shark. When you meet the Emperor's son and accept his recruitment, you can only join the team and become the 5th person. Apart from the lack of freedom, there is actually not much loss. After all, there are countless people who have cut off their heads and want to join this team. Of course, it's definitely not comfortable being on this team. Emperor Yu has a deep mind and will accompany you like a tiger. Xuanhuan is upright, but also cold. As for Bailey Xuanhuan and Chu Fengjiu, who are younger, it is difficult to let go of their pride and regard Wu Yu as their people of the same level. However, they couldn't offend the emperor, so they chose to ignore Wu Yu. Wu Yu also enjoyed his leisure time and walked at the end of the team, giving them the rear rank. Emperor, I've already got an idea. This maze array is indeed very high-end. The surrounding walls are all part of this array. They are undergoing huge changes in speed at any time at locations we don't know. In a short time, There are tens of thousands of changes in a short period of time, and it is difficult to break them. However, I am proficient in the magic circle from my ancestors. If you give me a little more time, I will definitely not be able to crack the magic circle, but maybe I can find some breakthroughs. The handsome and majestic Bailey Xuanhuan was accompanying the emperor's left side. He was pondering and studying along the way, showing his profound attainments at the level of magic circles. No wonder the emperor would take him with him. So that's it. Wu Yu also studied it, but found nothing. He is still confused now. The emperor said, as soon as possible, don't waste time. If we don't find a way, others will find a way. We are not afraid of others cracking the way out of this maze, but we are afraid that someone will accidentally break into the key place. Yes, the emperor. I'll work hard. Bailey Xuanhuan nodded quickly and said, if it weren't for the fact that Zifu's UN power was completely unable to be used, I wouldn't be so confused. Indeed, the impact of this magic circle that imprisoned Zifu's Yuanli was too great. Xuanhuan said, Your Majesty, don't worry too much. In this mausoleum, the ancient immortal talisman cannot be used, and the Sumi bag cannot be opened. Anyone who gets something must carry it in his hand. It cannot be hidden. As long as we can't hide it, we have a chance. After all, we have the biggest killer in this tomb. As he said that, he glanced at Wu Yu. Emperor Yu also looked back at Wu Yu and smiled with satisfaction. They indeed regard Wu Yu as the absolute killer in this mausoleum. Wu Yu, behave well. Appearing in a place like this mausoleum is your greatest luck in life. Trying to gain something for the emperor's son, this is an opportunity to escape obscurity, Xuanhuan said. Understood. Wu Yu knew what they meant very well, and he just happened to be physically strong, so he had a place to use them. Xuanhuan and the others probably felt that Wu Yu was very lucky at this time. Not everyone has the opportunity to make meritorious deeds for the emperor. I can trust Wu Yu's ability. It's foolproof. Emperor Yu stared at Wu Yu, smiled slightly, and then turned back and continued moving forward. Hearing the two people's compliments, Chu Fengjiu and Bailey Xuanhuan looked at each other and rolled their eyes. In fact, Chu Fengjiu also spent a lot of words to allow Bailey Xuanhuan, who was proficient in magic circles, to express himself in front of Emperor Yu. Now that Wu Yu is here, it has a bit of an impact on Bailey Xuanhuan's performance in front of Emperor Yu. The young master of the Ghost Mansion hopes to serve Emperor Yu's son. However, apart from defeating the two at the beginning, Wu Yu kept a low profile. While he followed the emperor, taking detours, he also listened to Bailey Chehun's analysis and pondered the maze array. Along the way, I met several other waves of people. No matter who they were, even if they were monsters, they were all respectful to Emperor Keiru and quickly backed away, not daring to block Emperor Keiru's way. Of course they could see Wu Yu following the team. Especially some people from the Yanhuang ancient kingdom were in disbelief when they saw that Wu Yu could actually follow this team. They all thought they had seen it wrong. However, although their hearts were shocked, they did not dare to ask Emperor Yu why. This matter spread privately, and people couldn't help but become more curious about Wu Yu. During this trip to the Taku Immortal Road, although Wu Yu was not very strong, he was still a well-known figure. However, Wu Yu also encountered people who did not give way to Emperor Yu. Some are prince-level figures from other countries in the Yanhuang ancient region. Some are powerful sea monsters in the sea. The noble bloodline defies heaven. Comparable to the fairy beast and dragon. At least, Wu Yu couldn't see their details. Everyone is in this tomb, carefully looking for a solution. Everyone was quiet. At this time, Emperor Zi and others entered a relatively deep and long dark passage. It was very dark inside and the end of the passage could hardly be seen. When Wu Yu also entered the passage, the sound of footsteps was heard at the end of the passage. Apparently someone is coming this way. However, Emperor Zi and others did not respond and continued to move forward. Both sides approach. The other party's footsteps were a bit heavy. Wu Yu could tell just by listening to the footsteps that the other party was physically very strong. It made him feel strong, which was pretty good. Judging from the breathing and aura, it should be a demon. This kind of aura can make his Dragon King Buddha indestructible body feel a hint of threat. It should be the most top and most powerful supreme demon in the entire Taku Immortal Road. Moreover, he must have noticed that a strong person was coming from the other side, but he had no intention of hiding or giving way, which shows the confidence of this demon. Not long after, when the heavy footsteps became heavier, Wu Yu could see a tall and burly giant walking out of the shadows in front of him. This person is very heroic and domineering. The most obvious thing is that his body is pale. It is not pure white, but has some blue markings. It is a bit like the skin of a shark or a whale in the sea. It is thick and cold. It should be it's a shark. Looking at his head again, this man has a bald head, and the top of his head is very shiny. Looking down, it also looks very sharp, like a spear-like nose piercing downwards. It is sharp, straight, and cold, and his mouth is long and narrow. When he grins, he almost stretches out his head. It reaches the ears. When it grins, you can see that its mouth is full of fangs. From these sharp teeth, which seem to have several rows, it can be seen that the body of the sea monster should be one of the overlords in the sea. Shark. The status of sharks in the sea is similar to that of tigers in the jungle. Most other creatures are no match for them, let alone those who become monsters. Although it is in human form, its face, body, and skin clearly resemble the cold-blooded, and ferocious feeling of a shark in the ocean. With its pair of narrow, sharp eyes, it seems that whoever it looks at is its prey. It was this person who walked straight up without any intention of trying, even though he knew that the person coming was very strong. At this time, he also saw Emperor Kaoru, who seemed not to be afraid at all. He grinned and said, "Who is it?" He is running rampant without any fear. It turns out to be Emperor Kaoru. There are so many helpers around him. The emperor didn't stop and led Wu Yu and others towards that side. As he walked, he smiled, and said, "Eternal Shark, does it seem that you are full of confidence? If you meet me outside this mausoleum, you have to go around. It's a pity that this is inside the mausoleum." The man who was called the Eternal Shark by the emperor said calmly. The Immortal Shark, with such a domineering name, is definitely a demon with the highest bloodline. Suddenly, Xuanhuan stopped, and he held Wu Yu's shoulders to prevent Wu Yu from moving forward. However, Emperor Yu, Bailey Xuanhuan and Chu Fenjiu did not stop, but followed Emperor Yu. "Go forward and cross paths with the Immortal Shark. I can't help it. We demons do have some advantages in this mausoleum, and Emperor Kaoru must admit it, right?" The Immortal Shark smiled coldly. He stood there and watched Emperor Kaoru and the other two pass by him. Emperor Zi said as he walked, "This is not certain." After hearing this, and seeing that Emperor Yu came behind him, and there were still Wu Yu and Xuanhuan, the expression of the Immortal Shark began to turn cold, and he said in a deep and puzzled voice, "Emperor Yu, from your side it looks like you want to attack me." Wu Yu also noticed it. Otherwise, why surround him? He didn't know how the Immortal Shark had offended the Emperor, but seeing that although the Emperor's face was relaxed now, there was a trace of murderous intent hidden deep in his eyes. It was obvious that he was going to target the Immortal Shark. Emperor Zi smiled and nodded. He did not respond to the Immortal Shark, but nodded towards Xuanhuan. Xuanhuan signaled. He leaned close to Wu Yu's ear and said, "Eternal Shark, among all the monsters that came in, ranks among the top 5 in strength. The 5th level of Yuan Shen transformation realm, stronger than me. But here, you can kill him." Sure enough, Emperor Yu wanted Wu Yu to kill someone. Moreover, with a being like the Immortal Shark in front of him, his strength is estimated to be close to that of Emperor Kaoru. If he were outside, Wu Yu would certainly not dare to attack him. The opponent could send Wu Yu to hell at any time. This was an opponent that Wu Yu did not dare to challenge at the moment. Moreover, the fact that he could make Emperor Yu have murderous intentions showed that his status among the demons is no less than that of Emperor Yu's son. At least one must be the father or mother of the overlord. At that overlord level, Dongsheng Shenzhou can definitely be easily destroyed. Outside, the immortal shark and the forces behind it could kill Wu Yu countless times. He faced the giant from an ant. Wu Yu, this immortal shark has provoked the emperor several times. The emperor has long wanted to take his life. This is the opportunity for the emperor, and it is also the best opportunity in your life. Behave well. If you succeed, I promise that you will stay with the emperor in the future, and at least in the Yanhuang ancient kingdom, no one can touch you. Xuanhuan said again. After saying that, he retreated back to the entrance, probably to keep a lookout to prevent others from coming in and seeing what was going on inside. Bailey Xuanhuan and Chu Fengjiu disappeared into the darkness, probably to the other side of the passage. Only the emperor's son, Wu Yu, was left, surrounding the immortal shark in the middle of the passage. I posted a song on the WeChat official account today. It's called Fighting the Victorious Buddha. This is a song that Madman likes very much. The lyrics are well written and match the artistic conception of this book. Madman likes Sun Wukong very much. Moonlight bright bluestone slope. A few breezes passed by. Ta Lingxiao has great achievements in battle. The gods are also afraid of me. However, the 3 generations of Shi Fang were wasted. Rock pregnant spirit root. The heart is born with the sun and the moon. The body is like black iron, the heart is like a bright mirror, and it is dust free. Shake the 3 realms Qi Tian Sheng. Caxia surrounds the golden body. Become a Buddha or a demon. Standing in the sky and asking the sky. Breaking the sky, filled with pride. Vow to march eastward with God. God's punishment is hard to condone. Even if you run away, you can't escape the palm of your hand. Cross the mountain 1,000 times again. Soared through thousands of miles of sky again. In the end, I can't resist the weight of my 5 fingers. Waiting to meet again. Reunion as if in a dream. Follow the WeChat public account Feng Qingyang, open the history of the main menu, and take a look at the pictures and texts posted today. Remember to click GG.